Wait, how did I get this to work yesterday? Hi.
You bought clearance wine?
That's what. Since she didn't want to.
I mentioned I'm live. Everyone, yeah, it's
Did
good.
you get this at Five Below?
No, I got it at World Market. Can everyone hear? Hi, who's on? Who's watching? John Hall. Hi, John Hall. Dana Mac. What's going on, everyone?
Am I using this?
We are kind of, sort of getting set up still,
I mean, you can switch
but you know, this is how we roll. This is how you watch for the first few minutes. And go. That's recorded. And go.
Yep, you're good.
So today's drinking selection is not from Five Below, as Wayne Henry would like you to believe.
It's from World Market.
It's from World Market.
See.
Lila wines. Pinot
Double
Grigio.
fisting.
And this is Babe Rosé. Also in a can.
Yeah, it is wine. It's not beer.
We have a live studio audience today.
You can hear her cheering in the background. She's really excited.
She'll be helping to do some running commentary in the background.
Certainly. Was this?
Certainly.
Ask some
This is
questions.
different.
That's fine.
Asking questions.
So,
Laugh track. Running that for us, if you will. So, Amanda Kranick is now live buying a house. Thinking about buying a house? Join us.
Yep.
Should I watch yours or should I watch mine?
You can watch mine. It'll probably be better.
Probably it will be. Probably it will be. At least more entertaining. Hear you loud and clear. Is it okay? Good, because I'm using a microphone, Dana, on this one, so I want to see if it helps at all. So, you just let me know if you notice anything different or whatever. Hey, Joe, how are you? So, we're all on the bench.
Yes.
All right. All on the bench today.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. We're close.
Real close. look at how much room is on mine, and the three of us
Yeah.
just right there.
Yeah, mine's really close up.
Yes, sounds
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Okay, good, Dana. Thank you.
Oh,
I
Jenny's
really
fancy.
tried.
Wow. Oh, it looks fancy. I'm also recording on my Canon camera as another test for going local. But see, the microphone just holds on there. It doesn't actually record. That's why I'm testing the camera to see how the sound goes. What are we watching in the background, Wayne?
We got funny dogs and animals.
I saw some cows. What's that thing?
Funny vines.
Oh,
Yeah, everybody likes puppies.
and that's Kit Kat. All right, so
All right. Well,
All right.
first time homebuyer pitfalls.
yes.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
Eric.
thinking about buying a house.
Are you thinking about buying a house?
Excuse me. This might not be the
Cheers.
first one today. Sorry.
Cheers.
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 All right.
Cheers. Oh, I think I need to
Cheers.
open mine too. So we
Cheers
all
to
know.
Heidi over there.
Cheers. Cheers.
For everybody in our live studio
Our studio
audience.
audience today. Anyone else want to be in the studio audience? Dublin is spelled backwards.
All right.
What are you talking about?
Because you didn't rotate the.
Oh, you're seeing the sign there. Yeah. No, because I don't know how to rotate the screen.
Do you want me
Yeah.
to do it for
All
you?
right. Now,
Too late.
Dana, there's a little too much commentary. Just kidding. Just kidding.
You can flip it.
Hey, Shay. I don't know how.
43 is backwards too.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we're talking about first time homebuyer pitfalls.
We are talking about first time homebuyer pitfalls. So, if anyone has any questions that may be watching,
Or you had a pitfall.
or you had a pitfall, let us know. Any pitfalls over there?
Not yet.
Being awfully noisy over there.
Heidi's got a lot of realtor friends, so she would never have fall for those pitfalls.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask
That's
us.
better.
I mean, I think the first step
Oh,
is getting pre-approved.
Mhm. And
well, yeah. So a pitfall would be not knowing that you need to get pre-approved.
Right.
Anybody have
And
you run into that
So
before?
going to look at houses, people want to go see houses, and then they say, after I find something I like, then I'll get pre-approved.
I just
Well,
had someone say that the other
as
day.
we know in this market, if you're going to wait until after you find a house, that house will be gone. And what if you can't afford the mortgage? Like, what if you aren't comfortable with paying that mortgage? So,
Well, then they wait till they get to the inspection and then they back out.
well,
No, that's not allowed.
the whole point of this, lady,
No.
is that
See?
silly.
I set you up and you knock it down. Like, that's how this works.
That's how this Wine Wednesday is gonna work.
Yeah, so the whole point is to get pre-approved, understand what you're going to be paying, and knowing that, there's more just than your mortgage that you have to pay. You have to pay for taxes and insurance as well.
Hey,
That
Herbert.
goes into your payment every month.
Right.
Right?
Yes. Right.
It's not just your house payment.
Oh.
It's all those.
Right. So you have an escrow account, and so you pay your taxes and insurance every month as well.
Mm-hmm.
And interest.
Yes. PD. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So if you're actually looking for a better way to calculate your payment, search online for a PD calculator, a PITI calculator, and that will give you a more accurate estimate of your payment, and not just your principal and interest, which isn't the end of, like Amanda said, your actual payments.
Right.
Yeah, and that, not knowing how much you can afford, obviously, as Amanda was just saying, that's a pretty big pitfall.
Right.
How many conversations have you had? I want a house that's $300,000, but you can only
Mm-hmm.
afford and qualify for $150,000. That's a big difference.
Right.
So, I think the answer to that pitfall definitely would be have that conversation with the lender first.
Right.
And if you don't have a lender, obviously your agent hopefully would have someone that they'd be comfortable referring you to, or
And I think it's important
friends,
too,
friends,
right,
family.
that even just going online and kind of looking it up and doing your own research as well.
Sure.
Just so, because sometimes people are like, well, why are they sending me to this lender?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's never anything in it for us when we send you to a lender. It's I send you to people that
Right.
have done a
Something.
good job for people in the past. So.
That's it. Yeah,
Right.
that's what's
I
in
get
it for us.
nothing
We know
out of
you're
it.
taken
Right.
care of. We know
don't
that.
get like a kickback. We're not
No.
doing things with them.
Yeah.
So
We just know we work hard to cultivate those relationships, as you've probably heard us say in other episodes, but we
Right.
just want the best for you. So
and we're actually here to help.
yeah,
So.
yeah. So another pitfall might be lack of credit. A lot of first-time home buyers are young, maybe fresh out of college. They don't have their credit built up yet. How would you? Again, that's going to be a conversation with a lender to know where your credit might be, but they would definitely have tips for you.
Start with, if you have a credit card that gives you a credit score. If you don't have a credit card or you have no credit, that's also a problem, because you have to have some sort of
Right.
established credit. You have to have owned a car, have a credit card, and have like a history, a credit history. So a lot of lenders will tell you to don't go berserk, and I wouldn't go open department store cards, but open a
Right.
Visa or a MasterCard or something
Right.
where you can start making regular payments and establish a credit history.
Well, I know some of the lenders I work with will say open one of the cards that has a balance, like you pay.
Secured credit card.
Yeah, a secured credit card, and you pay that, and then you spend only that amount, and then you pay that again, and that's a really quick way of repairing credit, but also building credit.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
usually
these-
it's a couple of months, and then you'll have enough.
These days, I think it used to be harder to get a credit card. If this is your first credit card, if you've got credit problems, where you've had delinquent payments in the past, and maybe your score's, lower than you hope or whatever, but
Right.
maybe it's a little harder to get a card then. But I think in most instances, getting a credit card, I don't think is that hard
I
anymore.
don't know. I think it is.
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
You're like, I actually don't know.
I would assume, because there's so many different avenues to get credit now.
Right.
Someone out there will issue you
Someone's willing
credit.
to give you
Yeah.
something. at
Now,
some
a
point.
lot of people, my very first credit card was a Lazarus credit card, which now, of course, is Macy's. But, and if that's where you have to start, then that's where you start, But establishing, I guess the point is, talk to a reputable lender who can refer you to these places where if it is an
they'll tell
issue.
you what to do.
Exactly.
They'll tell you what credit card to get and
Exactly.
how much to spend. I think that they go through all of that with you and help you
Exactly.
get the credit help and tell you what to pay off.
Yeah,
So
and
you
that's a
can
good
buy.
point.
Mm-hmm.
And starting with the lender, because those are the ones that do this every, like we're
Right.
on the house front, and we
Right.
can tell you how the process goes on this.
Mm-hmm.
With the money front, talk to somebody who does it every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's
get
always
their-
your best source
We
of
don't. We,
information.
yeah, we can't pre-approve you.
We
but,
all have our expertise.
And we can, we
Different
can
areas.
like pre-qualify you to kind
Ish.
of tell you, based upon, if you tell us what your income is, we can, there's a formula we can use to tell you about how much you can afford. But that isn't
right.
an approval in any sense.
Right.
So,
And we actually, it is hard to say that because we don't know what your car payment is. And,
right, well, with
you
us,
know,
with
so
providing
all of that.
information.
So,
But in any case, talk to your lender,
Yeah.
get pre-approved. Don't set yourself up for failure in losing a house that you like, or shop for something you can't afford because you didn't take that step first. I think that's the biggest pitfall
Yeah.
I see.
it is
I
the
think
biggest pitfall.
A lot of pitfalls are going to be on the money side. So the next one is lack of cash to work with. And that is, yeah,
So down payment.
Down payment,
Closing
even
costs.
closing
Mhm.
costs,
Because we see now asking for closing costs in this competitive market,
not happening.
sellers don't want to give you closing costs because
They don't
somebody
have to.
else is coming in and not asking
Oh.
for them.
Or
Yeah,
you could
well-
offer over asking, but then which a
Then
lot of stuff is
you
going,
risk
but you're running into
appraisal.
appraisal problems and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Having some cash, and I just got an email from a lender yesterday that it's $5,000 or 5% or $5,000. I can't remember now which it was. There were income limits and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but there wasn't even.
So they somewhat up your
Yeah.
your interest rate, and then they give
Well, this
you,
one it said that
Oh.
they didn't even up their interest rate.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was a grant through whatever
Oh,
lender
grant,
it
yeah.
was. They were offering, I think it was $5,000 towards your down payment or
Mhm.
closing costs, and no effect on your interest rate. A lot of the down payment assistance programs just automatically bump your rate up, a point or something like that if you use that program. Which, if you want to buy a house and this is the direction you want to go and that's the only opportunity, then by all means use it. It's free money, but
Yeah.
in the long run, it does cost you a little bit more to do
Well,
it.
and Dana too. Dana is a lender partner we have, and he's saying too. It seems like down payment is always a concern for these buyers too. Yeah, first-time home buyers, it's always a concern.
Mhm.
There's also going to be out-of-pocket costs during this process too.
Right.
You have to pay for the appraisal. You have to pay for the inspection. There's going to be you can't go into this without
Something.
something.
And even the program I just mentioned, there was a requirement that as part of the loan, you had to contribute $500 of your own money. They wouldn't just give you the $5,000 without you having some sort of outlay towards that loan. So,
And again, something to talk to your lender about
Right.
what kind of programs they offer.
and talk to us
And-
because we have
right.
several
Right.
lender partners who have
Who all
different
different
programs.
programs.
to help you with your down payment, like down payment assistance, as well as closing
Right.
cost credits and things like that. So
Okay.
you really can buy a house with not a ton down, but you should have money
And less
going
than
into
perfect
it.
credit.
Right, knowing that you might have to make repairs to the house or anything that might come up. So
So here's another thing that people probably don't think about: their lease agreements. Sometimes you're stuck and you can't get out of it, and sometimes it's very costly to buy your way out of it. So
Right.
know before you start looking where you are with that if you are
Mhm.
renting.
And I think it's a really good idea to talk to your realtor about, hey, my lease is up at this time. When do we start looking?
Yeah, timing is
Mhm.
Timing is
and
everything.
timing is everything. But here's the thing too: in a market like we're having,
Yeah, you aren't writing 60 to 90-day contracts.
no, it's
So you have to write around a 30-day contract.
Yeah.
So
and
The
but
good thing is usually your payment's not due for at least 6 weeks after you buy. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have a little bit of a break there, but my concern though is it's likely your lease is going to come up before you even find a house or get your contract accepted.
a lot of people
So-
I have will go into like the month-to-month stage.
Right.
And then at
And
that
that's-
point,
that's really
that's
Find
the
out if you
optimal-
can do that.
Yeah,
the best option
Oh.
is to talk to your landlord and say,
Yeah.
hey, you
So
know,
And be careful. I would somewhat advise to be careful. Like, so if you're renting a house, and you have a 30-day, notification and you're on month to month, be careful of when you talk to the landlord, because some landlords don't like the idea that you're just going to spring it on them and will maybe terminate the lease because they have that right in the month-to-month
Yeah.
period.
let them
So-
know what you're doing.
and just feel it out, at this point, you probably with the landlord, at that point you've been with for at least a year, so, you kind of have an idea of probably how your landlord is.
Right.
But in some situations I've had people where the landlord's like, well then, if you're moving out, I'm just going to rent the place down. If I get someone, then we're going to terminate your lease. So just be careful when you give the notice. I would wait till you get in contract before you actually give them a notice. If you get to month to month and that's part of your lease, then give that. That's what I would do. I mean, I think there's different ways you can handle it.
And then you want to make sure that you have enough time to move.
Sure.
And all of that. So.
And I will say too that even if you have a lease and maybe you have 6 months left on it, and I'm not suggesting that this is the best course of action, but a landlord's obligated to mitigate damages, and what that means for the tenant is, if you are to terminate your lease 6 months early, the landlord is obligated to attempt to rent that place on your behalf. If you live in a giant apartment complex and there's a bunch of units for lease in there, that's probably not going to work for you, because they're going to rent every other one before they rent yours, because they don't have a tenant that's already guaranteed to pay them. So be careful, talk to the landlord, talk to your realtor, figure out a strategy, but time it appropriately, I think is the
timing is
the
key.
gist.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the next topic is one that I think we can all relate to, and it's less than a full commitment on the buyer side. So what? Yeah.
No commitment.
No commitment. Run, get out. No commitment.
I love it.
I didn't say have less than a full commitment. What we want is full on commitment. We are not commitment folks. Studio audience. Can't be afraid to commit if you're buying a house.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, she's working on it.
She's working on
She's
it.
working on it. So yeah, like it's not a weekend project buying a house. I mean, you have to be full on and full in.
Right.
It's not a matter of seeing 10 houses in a day and then I'll just wait a few weeks and get back in the game.
There has
right?
to be a level of commitment
Yeah.
for sure.
This says it's on average it takes about 12 weeks of searching before finding the right
Wow.
one. 12 weeks of searching.
That
a long
seems
time.
Can you commit to 12 weeks?
Maybe.
I don't know
Definitely not
that.
15
And it takes
weeks.
some people, it takes some people one showing, and it takes some people a year to find.
Yeah,
I've had
that's true.
one time people, it was the first house and they were in.
Well, I think a
I had
normal
that.
market where it's like,
Where there's something
there's
that
so many,
seems-
there's more stuff that you can float around in your mind that this might work or this might not. In this market where there's,
don't
like
have a whole
7 homes to choose from and like 6 of them are undesirable, it's like, I find people are taking less time to make that commitment if you're committed to the
I think that
process.
people are getting cold feet because they're making that.
Well, yeah,
Sure, commitment so quickly.
that is
Understand that.
absolutely happening.
Then the next one fits right into what we're talking about. Can't find a home. Know your needs. That's
Know your
different
limits.
than your wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, know your limits. Know your limits.
I'm not
If you
good
have
at
any,
that.
I mean, it's
There was
just
a meme
really
somebody
tough
posted.
market.
Someone posted a meme the other day. Should I buy it? Brain says no. Your instinct says no. Your parents say no. The cat says no. And then the last line was sold. I'll take it. So, but know your limits, and when you're going into this, set your boundaries.
Know what
and
needs are.
parameters.
Know what wants are.
Right.
It's not just necessarily about the pretty paint color in the living room.
I always wanted purple.
Purple.
Ooh.
Really?
I
Pink
never
is the
pictured-
hot color
I
this year.
I never pictured
What
Heidi as a
about
purple girl.
Purple.
Uh-huh.
So the next one, realtor not getting the job done.
Fired.
Anybody ever have a realtor not do the job the right
Not
way?
anybody that's ever worked
Not
with
not
these
if
three
you've worked with
girls.
43 homes. Says give them the boot if that's the problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to note. If you're not happy with how
The lender, the
any of it,
agent, whoever
Then
you're working
you should
with.
be honest and
be
tell them.
honest.
Mhm.
Tell them what's wrong. I mean,
Right.
I appreciate if I'm not fulfilling.
And unless
Right,
that
so-
person's a complete idiot, they should
Right.
have some sort of sense that this isn't going well.
Yeah.
Right, like
yeah.
at least send something to
Right.
let them know.
And it is okay.
Because I mean, honestly, like me, I get so emotionally involved as well that I would want to know that. And,
Yeah.
and I'd want to know I did wrong.
Yeah.
And so, I think that happens a lot, though.
I think it
That people are
definitely does.
unhappy.
Well,
And
there's
then,
personalities. There's a business level to this. There's personalities
Uh-huh.
involved. There's emotions. You know what you just said
Right.
involved. So there's a lot going on, and
And
you know,
sometimes
getting
it's
to know the
just-
person
yeah.
before you start this process, you know,
Which you had to do during your home
right,
search.
right, yeah.
Mhm.
So, you know, yeah, give them the
But
boot.
you want somebody to be responsive.
Yeah.
And I think that's number one. I mean, if it can't be done,
Communication.
then you can't get, there are items that come up that
Yep.
just can't be helped no matter who you're working with.
sure.
Right.
Okay, so a couple of these we've already, small down payment, we've talked about, out-of-pocket cash, make sure, talk with your lender. There are a lot of programs out there, you can get as low as 3.5%. I was just talking to a lender today that said they had a program with 1.5%, so be curious to find out more details on that. But, make sure, again, you have the cash. Lender communication, talk with your lender. Don't lie about your financial situation
Right.
because it all comes out.
Right.
It all
Right,
comes
right,
out in
I
the
tell you,
end.
Don't
that is a
lie
huge
if you've had a
pitfall.
bankruptcy, if
Yeah.
anything like
Your
that.
down payment is cash and not in the bank. 'cause
Right.
it's
And,
coming
like,
from
in a
some
suitcase
secret
under
affair.
your-
They
Bad.
find all of them.
Can't use that. You're not allowed to bring a suitcase full of cash.
No, I'm telling you, like the things that we hear and see is pretty spectacular. So,
Yeah.
and I tell people as far as lending is concerned, they're going to take everything but your DNA. So if you think you're going to hide something, it's going to come up. So just don't hide it.
Yeah.
Be honest and truthful from the beginning, and everybody will be happier in the end.
Here's one from our end is you're too busy at work. Answering phone calls, answering questions. The contracts, there's a lot of timelines in place.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that have to get done at a certain time for things to close. Your lender needs information.
Right.
Now, granted, you're at work, you're busy, we get it, we are too. But
The
return a phone call.
The number one reason things don't close on time is because the buyer doesn't get something back to the lender the lender requested in a timely manner. So
Yeah.
you're only shooting yourself in the foot,
Well,
and I get
it's
it.
a
you
lot
know,
of work. It is a lot of work, and that's
and
And at least
It
be
sounds
communicative.
terrible, yeah.
If you're in a meeting and you can't, you can text and say, listen, I can't get to you right now. And then we can translate that to whoever needs to be the other agent. A lot of times time is of the essence, and getting that offer in, getting paperwork signed. I mean, someone else is going to be right behind you, willing to sign a contract before you are, and it's just a matter of communication is key.
and staying on top of it.
Yeah, and staying on top of things. So emotional attachment to a home. I think that in the market we're having, that is a huge, huge, huge problem. So much of buying a home, I think, is emotion.
Right.
It feels right. It's the right place.
Right. You want it, and then somebody else gets it.
And then 15 other people are writing offers.
Right.
Well, and I also see the other side of it, where the emotions have kind of swung a little bit out of it, like where people are more apt, I hate to say to settle,
Yeah.
because it's, they've looked at, or they've lost 2 or 3 other homes, and then one comes up and they're afraid another one's not going to come up that
Right.
they like, so they're just going to settle on this one. And so the emotion isn't there, and then I think kind of what we talked about in getting out in an inspection is once you get back in the house and then you realize, oh, I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing a lot
Right.
of, is that and on both sides, representing sellers and buyers, is that it's lacking the emotional connection, which then evolves to the transaction breaking down. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it's not showing our funny videos anymore. But either way, try to take emotion out of it. You're making a
Be
life
sensible.
decision here, and rely on your instincts. I think from the beginning is my piece of advice.
Last pitfall. Drum roll. Not getting an inspection.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah.
So one of the things, I mean, we've talked about this, I think, the
A
last
lot,
few
yeah.
episodes, but one of the ideas, and one thing that I do suggest, depending on the condition of the home, is you have the inspection done, but take the house as is. You're not going to ask the seller for any remedy.
Right.
Because let's be honest, there are some major things that come up in an inspection, but some of the stuff that comes up in an inspection most times might be cosmetic, might be, you know, a case for home ownership at some point.
Right.
Not anything. So, you know, depending on the condition of the house, of course.
And I
But
think that and your level of comfort in this purchase process.
Yeah.
You know, so
How
Absolutely.
familiar are you, like how much
Yeah.
do you know about
How-
that? And,
if you know nothing about a home
Right.
and you walk in and you say, you know what, I'm fine with this just like it is, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to do an inspection, that's a bad idea.
I think so too.
You know,
Because you never know.
So bad, so bad.
So
I
bad,
mean,
so bad.
It's a right
What's
that you
sound?
have. You may, you know, you could always get a better deal on a property because you don't do an inspection, or say you do an inspection, you don't ask for a request after the inspection, but
Like
you
I
should
just
always have
yeah.
one done. Just,
Always.
Well,
just so you know.
to go against that, I just bid on a house, and I waived everything.
Well, like I said though, it depends on the condition. I mean, you can go into a house.
I know
and
enough-
and
And it depends on how much you know, like we
Right.
said.
I know enough to kind of know what I was getting into, and that was
Yeah.
my level of comfort.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and we mentioned before that, you know, if bring a contractor, you know, if this is going to be one where
Yeah.
you sense there's going to be 20 offers and you need a way to get ahead up on the competition,
Yep.
and waiving the inspection is one of the things.
Right.
Bring a contractor, a trusted family member who knows a lot about houses
Yep.
to look at these big things before you go into contract.
An actual person that knows a lot about
Yes, and not just us, because I'm not going to
Well,
tell you.
I know not.
everything.
I've had people come and
I know, but I'm not
like,
telling
I
you.
know
I'm
that
not
they
taking
don't
that
know
responsibility.
anything about the house. You know, like they're saying like crazy things. Like I've actually had that happen in shows.
Really?
Yes, they
Oh,
brought
yeah,
somebody and it's
parents.
like, and they're like, they think they know. I'm like, they think that they know everything about the house. Like, bring
It's
somebody
hard.
that
It can be
actually-
hard. Yeah. Not an emotional
You want someone with an
support
objective
system.
opinion.
Objective is
Right.
key. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would say not a family member, because like those people I feel like have some sort of, I don't want to say they have too close of a connection to you. You want someone who's going to give you a completely objective opinion about the house.
Yeah.
And that person, family member, I think still has the emotional element that's
Well, they want to
connected
protect
to
you.
Well, of course.
And they want to do a good job for you.
And that's
then-
not a bad thing.
No, that is a
Um,
wonderful thing, but it may skew.
What
Some
the
things.
actual facts are. So, you know, having someone that's knowledgeable, whether it's an actual inspector or contractor,
Right.
um,
Maybe somebody that's licensed.
yes, in some form, you know, and not just someone that you think is trustworthy, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
just because. So
So that's it.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
3:30.
we nailed it.
Did you
in
learn?
30
Are you
minutes.
ready to buy a house?
No, not yet.
Because she fears
She's
commitment.
commitment.
I fear commitment.
It's a problem.
I've lived in Georgia for how many years?
It's
I
an
want
issue.
my house because I don't know if I want to stay there. I've been there for 10
She, I
years.
can't even commit to the state she's been in for the last 10 years. Wow.
So,
Well,
but we thank you again for watching Wine Wednesday.
Yeah,
Or
always.
thank you
Any
especially
questions?
for our
Thank you
local
for our studio
audience.
audience.
thanks for having me.
Cheers.
everyone.
We'll see you same
This wine
time.
in a can is really good.
Yes, and
So go buy it.
We
But
can
make
do
sure you
like
have
a
the red
beer.
clearance sticker on it. It was $2.23 instead of
See you when
$2.99.
you tune into Wine Wednesday.
We
you
shop
get
well.
tips on wine too.
And that
World
is
Market.
at
Check it out.
World Market.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
I can't get up now.